Have you ever felt that life seems random, chaotic, like you're merely reacting to forces you cannot control? What if I told you that nothing about your reality is accidental? That behind every encounter, every conversation, and every decision, there is a subtle, invisible structure guiding how the world responds to you? Most people wander blindly, believing that force, persistence, or charm alone determines success. But life, at its deepest level, operates on a coded set of signals, silent negotiations, and hidden consequences. There is a quiet power in understanding these rules. The very act of noticing, the way you respond to others, the boundaries you enforce, the energy you radiate, is itself a signal that shapes the universe around you. Few ever awaken to this truth. Those who do find themselves no longer at the mercy of circumstance, but moving through life with a clarity that others mistake for luck, charisma, or genius. This is the essence of the life game, a simple strategy that, when understood, outsmarts almost everyone. Consider for a moment the seemingly small interactions that weave the fabric of your life. A colleague's hesitation, the subtle tension in a friend's voice, the way a stranger responds to your presence. These are not random occurrences, not mere coincidences. They are signals, coded messages sent across the invisible architecture of human consciousness. Most people move through life oblivious to these exchanges, believing that outcomes are determined by luck, effort, or visible power. But the truth is far more subtle and far more profound. Every interaction contains layers of meaning that go unnoticed by those who react impulsively. A glance, a pause before answering, the calm steadiness with which you respond to provocation, these are all part of an invisible system of influence. Human behavior is not chaotic. It is patterned, predictable, and responsive to signals of authority, boundaries, and energy. The challenge is that these patterns are rarely explicit. They unfold in silence, in nuance, and in the unspoken expectations that guide social exchange. Life operates like a series of interlocking games, each with its own rules, consequences, and strategies. Some of these games are overt: career negotiations, financial decisions, romantic pursuits. But the most powerful games are subtle, almost imperceptible. They occur in the space between words, in the energy you emit, and in the reactions you either allow or deny. Mastering this level of awareness requires patience, observation, and a willingness to see beyond surface appearances. It is not about controlling others. It is about understanding the mechanics of interaction so clearly that your presence alone communicates the rules of engagement. Consider the concept of influence itself. Influence is not force, nor is it persuasion in its obvious forms. True influence is a quiet, almost imperceptible shaping of outcomes through clarity, consistency, and consequence. When you respond to situations with emotional neutrality, when you maintain presence even in the face of tension, you create a template that others are unconsciously follow. Your energy becomes a guide, teaching people how to treat you without a single argument. Conversely, erratic behavior, reactive emotions, or inconsistent boundaries create confusion and chaos. The invisible game favors those who understand this principle, allowing them to navigate complex social and personal landscapes with grace and precision. Think also about the way patterns compound over time. A small choice today, a boundary set calmly, a refusal to engage in unnecessary conflict, a measured acknowledgement of someone's limits, can shape the way people respond to you for months or even years. Each interaction writes a line in the code that governs your social reality. This is why awareness is more powerful than brute effort. Those who succeed in life with minimal friction are not necessarily the most aggressive or talented. They are the ones who see the subtle dynamics at play and act with strategic clarity. Even your own internal energy matters. The way you carry yourself, the subtle confidence or doubt that radiates in your presence, creates waves in the human system around you. People respond more to energy than to words. A calm, deliberate, intentional state communicates authority and predictability. Fear, desperation, or emotional volatility, on the other hand, triggers unpredictable reactions, often drawing the opposite of what you desire. Understanding this allows you to enter any situation with a kind of invisible leverage. The outcomes are not imposed, but they are guided, shaped, and influenced by the clarity of your awareness and the consistency of your signals. Life, then, is less a matter of chance and more a system of cause and effect, where the micro-choices you make ripple across the human ecosystem. By mastering the invisible mechanics of influence, you gain the ability to anticipate reactions, shape expectations, and quietly guide outcomes. It is a power that does not shout, does not demand, and does not rely on dominance. It relies instead on deep perception, strategic presence, and the deliberate cultivation of consequence. This is the essence of what it means to understand life at a higher level, a level where success is not forced but emerges naturally as a reflection of your conscious alignment with the underlying rules of human interaction. Now, imagine for a moment that a single, seemingly insignificant action could shift the way the entire world interacts with you. Not in a dramatic, obvious way, but in a subtle, almost imperceptible rhythm that unfolds over time. Perhaps it is a calm refusal to meet manipulation with emotion, a measured boundary you assert without explanation, or a quiet acknowledgement of what you will no longer tolerate. To the untrained eye, these gestures may seem minor, even trivial. Yet within the hidden fabric of human interaction, they act as catalysts, initiating chains of cause and effect that others cannot resist following. Most people live unaware of this invisible architecture. They expend energy on reactive outbursts, frantic persuasion, or desperate attempts to control outcomes, believing that life is a series of random events that must be forcibly shaped. In truth, the most effective form of influence is almost invisible. It is not the loud declaration, the passionate argument, or the intense pressure that bends reality. It is the subtle, deliberate, and consistent communication of rules through presence and consequence. The quiet enforcement of boundaries teaches others how to navigate their behavior toward you, whether they recognize it consciously or not. Consider how often we overlook the power of timing, tone, and emotional alignment. A word spoken too soon, a reaction given in haste, or an emotion displayed unguardedly can send ripples that extend far beyond the moment. Conversely, measured restraint, the careful modulation of energy and a steady calm create gravitational fields around your presence, drawing outcomes into alignment naturally. What feels like luck to those on the outside is, in reality, the disciplined orchestration of cause and effect within the invisible game. There is a hidden dimension to every interaction. Even in silence, energy is exchanged. Every glance, every hesitation, every unspoken choice resonates in the consciousness of those around you. By becoming aware of these subtle transmissions, you gain access to a layer of reality that most people never notice. It is here that influence occurs without force, outcomes shift without confrontation, and authority emerges without declaration. Life begins to respond to the clarity of your attention and the precision of your boundaries. What is most fascinating is how small, deliberate acts compound over time. A single, strategically placed boundary can redefine relationships, reset expectations, and establish long-term influence. A refusal to engage in unnecessary drama may initially seem inconsequential, but it sends a clear message that your energy is not to be exploited. Over time, people adjust, patterns shift, and the trajectory of interactions moves in your favor, quietly, almost invisibly. This is why understanding the hidden cause and effect of human behavior is more valuable than any aggressive strategy or visible show of strength. You may begin to notice that life itself starts to feel different once you recognize these dynamics. Situations that once felt chaotic or unpredictable begin to follow a subtle logic. Outcomes align with intention, and opportunities emerge where previously there were obstacles. Yet this is not magic in the ordinary sense. It is the conscious engagement with the underlying structure of social energy and human responsiveness. By mastering this understanding, you become like a composer conducting a symphony of interactions, where the music unfolds according to the rules you quietly establish, rather than the whims of chance or the noise of the unobservant. And yet, there is a tension here that few can ignore. This dimension of life is invisible, so its effects can feel almost uncanny. Others will respond in ways that seem surprising, even mysterious, as though the universe itself has shifted. But the truth is simple. The shift comes from your awareness, your presence, and your deliberate engagement with the hidden mechanics of interaction. The ripples you create, though subtle, are far-reaching, and the chain reactions they set in motion often extend well beyond your immediate perception. The ultimate insight is this: influence is a product of conscious alignment, strategic restraint, and the subtle assertion of boundaries. It is less about compelling others to act and more about teaching them how to behave toward you. By engaging with the invisible rules of life, you can shape outcomes in ways that are profound, lasting, and almost imperceptible to those still reacting blindly to circumstance. In this space, life no longer feels like a series of random events. Instead, it becomes a network of opportunities, each one responsive to the clarity, consistency, and quiet authority you bring to it. Here is the insight that shifts perception, reshapes understanding, and transforms the way you move through life. Existence itself is a structured game, an intricate system of micro-interactions, invisible negotiations, and unspoken consequences. Life is not chaotic, and the events you experience are rarely random. Each moment is a point of convergence between your consciousness, the consciousness of others, and the unseen currents that weave reality together. Those who recognize this truth do not simply react. They orchestrate, not through force, but through clarity, presence, and consistent consequence. At the core of this understanding lies a profound revelation. Influence is not generated by intensity, argument, or manipulation. True influence emerges from strategic awareness, the ability to see patterns, anticipate reactions, and act in alignment with the hidden rules of human behavior. When you respond with intention rather than impulse, when you uphold boundaries with quiet authority, and when you calibrate your energy with precision, you create a resonance that others instinctively follow. This is the essence of power that few ever recognize, and even fewer know how to wield effectively. Consider the way the human mind and social systems operate. People respond not primarily to what is said, but to what is transmitted through presence, energy, and consequence. A calm refusal, a measured silence, a consistent boundary. These communicate far more than words ever could. The unconscious mind observes, interprets, and adapts to these signals, adjusting behavior in alignment with the environment you create. The world, in this sense, is a reflection of your inner discipline and your ability to teach the rules by living them. Life unfolds as a sequence of cause and effect interactions, each one shaping the next. Yet the mechanism is invisible to the untrained eye. Small choices, how you respond to disrespect, how you assert your priorities, the energy you allow to dominate your presence, compound into outcomes that define your trajectory. Over time, these ripples create patterns that others follow automatically, establishing dynamics of respect, trust, or avoidance without the need for confrontation. This is why mastery is more often silent than loud, subtle than overt, and deliberate than reactive. To grasp this fully, imagine life as a vast network of interconnected microgames. Every interaction, no matter how brief or seemingly insignificant, is a node in the system. Some nodes are obvious: negotiations, contracts, career decisions, relationships. Others are hidden: the way people adjust their tone in response to you, the silent deference that forms when boundaries are respected, the unconscious alignment that occurs when energy is calibrated. Understanding these hidden nodes and learning to navigate them with intention is the ultimate leverage. It is the difference between being tossed by circumstance and guiding the currents of life itself. Strategic awareness, then, is not merely a skill, it is a state of being. It requires that you observe without judgment, act without attachment to outcomes, and maintain a consistent, measured presence in every interaction. The universe responds not to the force you exert, but to the clarity you embody. Those who wield this power are often invisible masters. They do not announce their authority, yet it is undeniable. Outcomes bend toward them naturally, not because of coercion or demand, but because they have learned to teach the world how to respond to them through the quality of their presence. There is also a deeper, almost mystical dimension to this insight. When you align with these invisible mechanics, you begin to perceive reality not as a series of random events, but as a structured, responsive system. Time, circumstance, and human behavior begin to reveal themselves as patterns waiting to be understood. You begin to see opportunities that others miss, notice cues that others overlook, and understand dynamics that remain invisible to the unobservant. Your actions cease to be reactions, They become deliberate movements within a system whose logic you now comprehend. And yet, this is not about domination, trickery, or manipulation. It is about awakened strategy, the conscious recognition that life is governed by patterns, and the decision to engage with those patterns with awareness, discipline, and quiet authority. By embodying this principle, you move through life like a skilled navigator of unseen currents. You do not force the tide, but you position yourself where the flow carries you toward your goals naturally. Others respond to the clarity you project, and reality itself aligns with the intelligence of your consciousness. The ultimate truth revealed here is simple, yet profound. The universe and the people within it mirror the signals you emit. The authority you demonstrate, the boundaries you maintain, and the consequences you uphold all serve as instructions for how reality treats you. When these signals are consistent, deliberate, and conscious, you become an unseen architect of your world. Life ceases to surprise, struggle diminishes, and the invisible game unfolds in your favor. This is the life game distilled. Observe the hidden patterns, respond with intentionality, uphold your presence with clarity, and allow consequence to teach the rules. Do this, and you move beyond the ordinary mechanics of cause and effect. You enter a stage where influence is effortless, authority is inherent, and reality becomes a reflection of the disciplined consciousness you bring to it. It is subtle, it is powerful, and it is the ultimate mastery few ever perceive, but everyone responds to. Now take a moment to look inward. Consider your own experiences, the patterns that have repeated themselves, the moments when you felt overlooked, misunderstood, or drained by people around you. How often have you reacted impulsively, given away your energy unnecessarily, or compromised your authority simply because you didn't recognize the hidden rules guiding the dynamics around you? Perhaps you've tried harder, spoken louder, or fought more fiercely than you intended, only to find the outcome still slipping through your grasp. These moments are not failures, they are signals, lessons encoded in the invisible game of life. It is easy to feel isolated in these experiences. You may have wondered why others seem to succeed effortlessly while you struggle, why some people navigate relationships, careers, and opportunities with fluid ease while you are left chasing after outcomes. The truth is not about talent, luck, or external advantage. It is about awareness. Most people live unconsciously, reacting to circumstance, their emotions, and the expectations of others without noticing the invisible currents shaping those interactions. You, like many others, have been swimming in these currents without realizing that the rules can be learned, observed, and applied. There is a profound sense of relief in recognizing this. The struggles, frustrations, and repeated disappointments you have experienced were not signs of inadequacy. They were part of your education, preparing you to see the subtle mechanics that govern influence, respect, and human behavior. Every moment of misalignment, every interaction that left you drained, every boundary that was crossed unconsciously, all of it has been teaching you what works, what matters, and how to navigate the unseen structures that guide life. Once this perspective takes hold, your past struggles transform into a map, and you begin to understand your own journey as a process of awakening. Consider the emotions you carry in your daily life. How often have you given your energy to people or situations that diminished you rather than nourished you? How often have you allowed the desires, expectations, or reactions of others to dictate your mood or decisions? The realization that you can influence these dynamics through awareness is liberating. You begin to see that the power you sought externally has always resided within you, waiting to be exercised with clarity and intention. The invisible game rewards presence, consistency, and strategic restraint far more than it rewards force, drama, or emotional overextension. Think of the people around you, the ones who frustrate, challenge, or confuse you. Each interaction with them has been a mirror, reflecting back your own patterns of response and providing insight into the rules of engagement. By observing not just what happens, but how energy shifts, how boundaries are tested, and how subtle signals are received, you gain access to knowledge that most people never notice. This knowledge is deeply personal. It allows you to reclaim agency over your relationships, your opportunities, and your sense of self. You begin to operate from a place of informed choice rather than reaction. It is here, in the intimate understanding of your own experiences, that the life game becomes personal. You realize that mastery is not about control over others. It is about clarity in your own presence and consistency in the energy you project. Each action, each boundary, each moment of restraint contributes to a larger structure of influence that begins to shape your reality naturally. And in recognizing this, you feel seen, not by others necessarily, but by yourself. You are no longer lost in confusion or subject to the whims of circumstance. You are learning to navigate life with intention, authority, and quiet power. This chapter of awareness invites a kind of self-compassion as well. You recognize that every misstep, every moment of doubt, every lapse in clarity has been part of the learning process. There is no shame in what you didn't know before. There is only opportunity in what you are beginning to understand. By connecting with these experiences deeply, you transform them into tools of insight, instruments for shaping future interactions, and markers on the path toward conscious mastery. And so, the personal connection is complete when you see yourself as both student and architect of the invisible game. The challenges you've faced, the frustrations you've endured, the patterns you've witnessed, they are no longer obstacles. They are lessons in disguise, providing the understanding you need to move forward with strategic clarity, calm authority, and presence that subtly reshapes the reality around you. The life game is no longer abstract. It is deeply, intimately yours. It is the framework through which you will navigate relationships, energy, and outcomes with a quiet intelligence that others sense but cannot name. Now, imagine stepping into life with a new awareness, a consciousness that perceives not just the surface of interactions, but the currents beneath, the subtle negotiations and hidden structures that shape outcomes. This is not about forcing change or controlling others. It is about awakening to the understanding that every moment carries information, every energy exchange teaches a rule, and every boundary you set communicates your authority to the world. The invitation now is to practice this awareness deliberately, in the quiet moments where true influence is cultivated. Begin with observation. In a single interaction today, notice the subtle signals, the tone someone uses, the hesitation before a response, the way energy shifts in conversation. Observe without judgment, without trying to manipulate, without the pressure to produce a visible outcome. Simply notice. Awareness itself is the first step toward awakening. It allows you to see the invisible architecture that governs human behavior and the natural flow of consequences. By understanding these currents, you position yourself as a conscious participant in a game that most people play unconsciously. Next, practice clarity. Choose one boundary, one principle, or one moment where you will respond with intentionality rather than reaction. Perhaps it is saying no without apology, remaining calm in the face of provocation, or choosing not to engage with drama that previously drew your energy. Each conscious action becomes a signal that reverberates far beyond the moment. The universe and those around you respond not to what you demand, but to the authority of presence you demonstrate. By maintaining clarity in small, deliberate choices, you begin to shape the environment in which all subsequent interactions unfold. Then, embrace consequence. Understand that your actions teach others how to treat you. If you allow inconsistency, impatience, or overreaction, you invite patterns that diminish your authority. If you uphold clarity, presence, and measured boundaries, you cultivate respect and alignment. Consequence is not punishment, it is instruction. It is the language through which the invisible game communicates its rules. By aligning your choices with the awareness you now possess, you become a teacher of the reality you wish to inhabit. The awakening is also deeply internal. It requires that you cultivate emotional discipline, maintaining neutrality even when others attempt to provoke, distract, or manipulate. Emotional neutrality is not suppression, it is mastery. It allows your awareness to remain sharp, your presence to remain consistent, and your influence to remain unshakable. The more you operate from this state, the more life itself begins to respond predictably. The currents of reality bend toward clarity, not chaos, and outcomes shift naturally in response to the authority you embody. This call to awakening extends beyond simple interactions. It is an invitation to live intentionally, to align your inner state with the outer patterns you wish to see. Each thought, choice, and action becomes a move within the life game. By practicing this consciously, you begin to dissolve the illusion of randomness, seeing instead the logic and structure underlying events, relationships, and opportunities. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are not merely reacting to the world, you are participating in its orchestration with insight, intention, and quiet power. And finally, embrace patience. Transformation does not occur overnight. The shifts you create ripple outward gradually, reshaping relationships, energy dynamics, and personal outcomes over time. The reward is not instant gratification, but long-term alignment, the freedom to move through life with authority, clarity, and presence that others sense instinctively. The awakening is subtle, invisible, yet profound. It is the realization that life responds not to desperation or force, but to awareness, consequence, and the quiet assertion of conscious intent. This is the call to action. Begin today with observation, clarity, and deliberate consequence. Align your energy, uphold your presence, and move with measured intention. The universe and the people within it respond naturally to the authority you embody. You are invited into the unseen currents, the invisible game, and the subtle mastery that allows life to bend toward your awareness. This is not a technique to control others, it is a state of being, a conscious, mystical engagement with reality itself, where influence, clarity, and aligned action become inseparable from the way you exist in the world. And now, as the journey of understanding draws to its quiet close, take a moment to reflect on what has been revealed. The life game is no longer an abstract concept. It has become tangible, intimate, and deeply personal. You have seen that life is not random, that the interactions around you are not accidents, and that the currents guiding human behavior are subtle, structured, and responsive. What once felt chaotic now unfolds with pattern, rhythm, and logic, as if the universe itself bends in recognition of the awareness you bring. There is a stillness in this realization, a calm authority that does not demand attention, yet commands it effortlessly. You do not need to speak louder, act faster, or compete harder. The mastery lies in presence, consistency, and quiet consequence. In the invisible exchanges that shape your reality, each action you take communicates rules, each boundary you maintain sets a precedent, and each moment of awareness ripples outward, silently rewriting the trajectory of events around you. Life itself becomes a reflection of the clarity you embody, moving in accordance with the signals you send. Consider how this awareness transforms not only your external world, but your inner landscape as well. When you perceive the patterns beneath the surface, the tension that once pulled at your mind softens, the anxiety of uncertainty diminishes. The confusion of repeated frustrations resolves into insight. You begin to feel a subtle alignment between your inner state and the outer reality, as if the universe responds to a code you now understand, a code written not in words, but in presence, energy, and the disciplined application of consequence. And yet, the beauty of this mastery is its subtlety. No one may notice the shifts at first. People may continue their routines, the world may appear unchanged. But beneath the surface, the invisible currents have begun to flow differently. You have entered a domain where life responds naturally to intention and clarity. Your interactions carry weight, your presence carries authority, and your choices carry instruction for how the world treats you. The game is no longer external. It has become an internal practice, a conscious navigation of cause and effect in thought, energy, and behavior. This is the space of quiet mastery, where effort is measured, influence is unseen, and outcomes emerge as natural consequences of awareness. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, nor are you bound by the limitations others impose. The life game is not about controlling events or people. It is about embodying a state of consciousness that the universe, in its subtle intelligence, cannot help but respond to. You move with intention, yet without strain. You teach without force, guide without aggression, and shape reality through the deliberate cultivation of presence, boundaries, and consequence. As you carry this awareness forward, know that it is not a destination, but a continuous practice. Each interaction, each decision, each silent signal is an opportunity to refine your presence, assert your clarity, and deepen your alignment with the hidden currents of reality. The mastery is subtle, invisible, and often misunderstood, yet its effects are profound and enduring. Life begins to respond with a rhythm that mirrors your consciousness, creating a harmony between your internal state and the unfolding of events around you. And so, the journey comes full circle. You started with curiosity, perhaps with frustration, perhaps with a sense of being adrift. You have been invited to see what others overlook, to perceive what most ignore, and to act with a subtle authority that shifts the very structure of your reality. This is the life game revealed, not as a tool of manipulation, but as a practice of awakened presence, aligned action, and quiet mastery. Step forward with this knowledge, observe, act, and uphold your authority with intention. Let your awareness ripple outward, allow consequence to teach, boundaries to guide, and presence to shape outcomes naturally. In doing so, you move beyond the ordinary experience of life and enter a realm where reality responds not to struggle, not to force, but to the quiet intelligence of consciousness fully awakened. The game is simple, yet profound. The strategy is invisible, yet powerful. And you, now aware, are no longer a passive participant. You're a conscious player in the hidden flow of life, moving with clarity, purpose, and quiet strength, forever shaping reality through the presence you embody and the consequences you allow.